You have a fascinating take out that says that actually the TPP, that Asian trade deal that President Trump campaigned against, may come back under the Trump administration. What leads you to that conclusion?
Well, the TPP was very unpopular with Mr. Trump and Mrs. Clinton during the campaign, but it was very popular with almost every business association, farm group around the United States. They all saw the benefits of increased trade in the Asia-Pacific region, and they all wanted it. So the question is, how do we get back to it in a way that makes it better and acceptable to the Trump administration?
But one of the things the president's been adamant about is he doesn't like multilateral deals. He likes bilateral deals. Wouldn't he, if he were here right now talking with you, say, well, maybe we'll have more trade, but it's going to be one-on-one. We're not going to do this group thing.
Yeah, the new team has this perception that you can get more out of bilaterals than you can out of dealing in a regional group. They think they can use the leverage of the U.S. market to wrest a better deal than what President Obama got in TPP. But in fact, the U.S. market is already fairly open. So we don't have much to give. And in fact, the U.S. didn't give very much in the TPP. So it got a very good deal. It's going to be very hard to replicate that in bilaterals. And indeed, Trump's bilateral strategy is doomed to failure.
So, Jeffrey, do you see any evidence that would support your position in President Trump's dealings with Prime Minister Abe? Because he has met with one Asian leader, and they have talked a fair amount about trade.
They've talked a lot about trade and about maintaining good trade relations, but they didn't talk about a comprehensive trade deal that would replicate what was in the TPP. Indeed, that would be very difficult to get approval on a bilateral basis. I think more interesting is the meeting that will be taking place next month in Chile around the summit of the Pacific Alliance, where the Chileans have invited all the TPP countries plus China and South Korea to get together to discuss how to go forward from where we are today and how to rebuild Asia-Pacific economic integration along the lines of the TPP or something similar to it.
Ellen, one of the things we hear recurrently is the big downside risk to the Trump approach to economics might be a trade war. How do you put into your models the Trump approach to trade?
Well, I think just in general, you have to recognize that there's heightened uncertainty because a lot of his trade policies are unknown. And so you model, you take into account that heightened uncertainty will probably depress business investment for a time until we get a clearer view of what trade policies will look like. I love hearing from Jeffrey that TPP is not dead, that Trump can throw it back in the bowl, mix it up, massage it a little bit, and put out something different that's more palatable, because it was an excellent trade deal. It was something I think disappointing to the Obama administration that we weren't able to get it over the hurdle before he left office. But I would love to see TPP still go through. But how can it be done in a way that's palatable to the Trump administration is the question. I think that could go far in easing some business concerns in terms of his trade policies.
Jeffrey, can you reconcile the Trump administration's foreign policy goals with its goals for trade?
Well, there are some flaws in the TPP. Every negotiated deal can be improved. And there are areas that the Trump administration is concerned about, that some American business is concerned about, that could be added to the TPP. You could add new provisions on currencies, for example, to deter future episodes of currency manipulation. That would be a big plus for American business, and I think would be acceptable for the rest of the TPP countries, because they all committed in a side agreement of their macroeconomic officials to deter and to avoid currency manipulation. So that, in the body of the text, could be a big plus. Plus some other more minor adjustments could give perhaps the TPP, maybe renamed, a different impression in the Trump White House. But certainly right now they're all against it.
Well, Jeffrey, at this point, if you do rename it, whatever they would do with it, if they stepped back towards trying to come up with this kind of deal again, how would China take that?
I think China benefits when its trading partners prosper. And I think this is seen as a way for China to build stronger relations with its TPP, with the other TPP countries, as it is already doing. It's got trade agreements with many of the TPP countries. Some of those countries want to augment and update those agreements. Other countries who don't have an agreement with China want to join. So none of the countries want to isolate China. I think they want to deepen their ties with China. And this would be a way for China to get a better trading partner to work with.